exhaust gases actually make it through that little pipe up in here, because it's so filled up with smoke, and it obviously goes into every little crack, including making its way through these bolts up the further. So we kind of investigated that a little bit. Hello guys, and welcome to another David Zimaleta. In today's video, I'm basically doing a series on talking about some of the parts, what they do and whatnot, some of my theories, things of that nature, so we could all learn from these parts. So what parts should we study next? Let's take a look at the EGR. Well, this is an EGR, usually costs between 350 to 500 bucks, made in Germany. I'm gonna try to see if I could find some on Amazon at a cheaper discount, but these things are notorious for going bad, and you could clearly see that this one is bad. Now EGRs, when they're closed, things are working just fine. Your engine and stuff, it's kind of like loving it. Like when it's closed, it's gonna be like nice and strong. But when it gets to this like position where you could see like these little corners, you could see them right there. They're kind of like exposed when you take it off. It means it's gonna be like in limp mode. So it's supposed to be closed like that, but for some reason it's open. That's what the spring does. A lot of times these things could be dirty, and all it needs is a little bit of cleaning and stuff like that. But obviously, not for this thing. It's just it's not gonna really help things, because it's just something wrong with the spring. Let me see if I could actually maybe pull it too much, and see if I could cause it to not do that. But no, it does. Now, this particular EGR, I remember this EGR. Actually, I had this EGR for a while. I bought this new from Mercedes, and then it started doing that, and I actually realized that as I was driving, it would actually put my Sprinter into limp mode at a startup. Like once I started the Sprinter up, and by limp mode it means it would not accelerate above 60 miles, and basically the RPM gauge would not go above 3000 RPMs. Now, what I would do is, while driving, I turn the key off. Like if I'm going straight, just like one notch off, it cuts the vehicle off, and I wait till all my arrows they fall, which happens like in a second, and then I turn the key back on, and the engine turns back on without you even noticing. It just basically just keeps going, and that would actually cause basically the limp mode to reset and everything to be operational as normal, but then it would be back again. Now there is EGR emulators and stuff that's sold here, like in the United States. You could get them, and you could leave your EGR in place. It probably costs like 80 bucks, and EGR would be still in place there, and your computer would think that EGR is working well, everything's good. It would be totally like loving it and stuff. I'm gonna find to see if emulators are sold on Amazon. I'm gonna link it up in the description below. But I want to buy one myself so that we could actually do like an EGR bypass. I'm not doing one in this video, but what I want to do is I want to take it apart if possible. I do have like some tools back here, and some of the tools that it needs has a hole. It's like a little knob that sticks up. It's not like a normal star type of tool. So some of these are too big. So I want to open it up and see what's going on, like with that thing. But before we do that, let's pop the top off. It just sort of like goes in there. Now these plastic pieces, they break off, and you could clearly see it's got a lot of, I don't think it's magnetic. We do have like the actual circuit right there, if you kind of think about it, like, I mean, like, how does this thing actually work? Because it basically, I mean, that's all. You got those two connectors. They go inside. You know, this little thing is just, I mean, possibly it could be ground, but I doubt that it's ground. It's just kind of like, just goes in that little cap thing. And it just kind of guides it into place, and you could just basically pop it on there like that, and then it just kind of like holds. But out of the 4 connectors, it basically becomes into 2. So I guess my question immediately is, I mean, if you have this thing installed, you know, there's only two things over there, so possibly you could just wire something in with the 2 or something. I don't know, you know, but I'm thinking somehow that could be useful, especially if you're trying to like trick it. Now, I don't know if you could pull this off. I've never pulled that off. I don't see if there's anything here for me to pry it out. It's possibly made so that you can't, you know, do it, but we'll leave that alone for now. Let's look at the deeper end of this thing. So we do have this with a little hole, and we have this here. So let's open it up and see what's inside. Okay, so that was tightening it. Okay. By the way, guys, I do recommend you picking up this type of kit. Might be like a different color box. I'm gonna find one for you guys on Amazon, because it's got all of these tools that you would not think to have. It's got some weird looking tools in here, I'm telling you. Like, possibly for like, I don't know. It's just, some of the stuff in here, guys, it's just crazy. Like, you have pretty much every fitting that you need, you know, to work in a car in here. So, anyways, we popped this off. So obviously, you know, that thing flew off. So we have now this portion, the lower portion. Now we got the center portion. Let's set it down, and then we got this. Obviously, taking it apart, you could clearly see where its demise came from. It's got so much of this soot back here. Like, it's just packed. It's like, wow, like maybe what if this is all your EGR needs? Just take it apart and clean it without like really tearing it down. But this this appears to me like it's some bolts and stuff. Now, what is this thing? This here, it's something that rotates. So it does something. I'm not gonna put it too much out of work, but it obviously rotates that piece. And maybe because of all the carbon buildup in here, it prevents it from actually, you know, from closing and stuff like what it was doing there on the spring. So you could see, like, when I press on it, it's got a springy action and it goes right back. So possibly the spring, you know, it gets weak or soft, or possibly because there's so much of this crap in here, you know, and it is kind of still, like, the spring feels like it's still got power. So you could clearly see in this area that that's all it wants to do. It's kind of like a up and down motion. This piece basically goes from here to there, you know. So it naturally wants to be in a closed position. So we're spinning this here like that. So it naturally wants to be closed. But I could already clearly see that this portion right now, this mechanical portion, is the one that failed on this EGR. I don't know why that is, but I think you could actually rebuild EGRs with other EGRs. So if this piece, for instance, is good, but your EGR for some reason went out, like this portion went out, you know, then you could just swap it out. Like if you have a good one like this and a bad one like that, then just swap it out. But I wonder though, like how did this how did the spring actually go out? And what can we do to keep it in? Okay, I could already see a solution, guys. I could see what we could do. Here's what I would do. You could clearly see that if let me see here. I'll close it and then I'll jam this thing in here like that. You could clearly see if I jam something in there. Now I just went past it. Like that. Yeah, you see? It now closes perfectly. So what does that mean? Look at the gapage right here. If you could put something in that gap, something, you know, you could glue something in there, and you could really like monitor how much of a gap you need, because this would actually so it's not much, it's just enough that goes back. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else that could be done. So a while ago I was kind of thinking, well, you could technically, you know, like, because look, EGR opens up like this and then it closes, right? And then it basically closes too far. So I was kind of thinking you could technically even like weld something in this piece, or like even like well, not really, because this piece needs to open up and that stuff would be in the way, so that would be really hard to manage. But that's what I was kind of thinking, is to put something over there in the corner to keep it from actually going too far. But now I could clearly see, upon opening this piece up, I could actually put something in there. But I could also see something, guys. There's possibly there was something in there, because I see like there's a hole there, guys. When I twist this over to the other side, and it's kind of hard to do, there's like a hole there. So I think the failure here is they kind of do it on on purpose. Like take a look at that. There's like a huge gap in there. I don't know if you could see that, but there's an area over there. There's a huge gap. Oh, and I see kind of like what happened. I think I see what happened, guys. I think there should be a little piece. It should be right on the end of that corner piece right there. That's what's broken off. It's not the spring. It is the weak metal that they had. And it was probably so thin, and it was going into that space right there. And let's see here, if you close it a little bit. So that little corner, and it broke off. That corner piece. Let me see if I'm gonna point it to correctly. Right here, guys. This piece, I believe, had like a little tooth on it, and it would actually go inside over there, and it would actually, you know, like prevent it from going any further. But on this one, the tooth is broken off. So you could still repair it, but you would need to basically kind of like reinvent the wheel a little bit, because that tooth is not there. And I could see that that area is slightly shaved. Now I could be wrong. I haven't taken too many of these things apart. It's my first one. It's actually my first time taking it apart, and this is just everything that you're hearing from me. It's just from observation alone. But I think if I take another EGR apart, which I don't have one over here right now. I'm trying to think if I have one somewhere in my property. Probably have it somewhere in my property where I could bring it here and do the same thing. I'm gonna try to grab a flashlight right now and go and so we could actually conclude this little thing. Because if that's actually what's going on, then obviously, guys, that tooth is broken. So I would just measure like the distance. Like basically this is where it's closed. See here, I want to do it so I don't move it. This is where it's closed right here, and you could kind of see that that little gap, it needs to be basically closed. So something needs to be in that gap. And I could see it's a little bit at an angle too. That little piece right there, it's at an angle. So, you know, it moving and stuff, and I could see like the top, there's plenty of space there. I mean, it's a possibility that you could actually take something and weld on top of the piece that actually moves. So like it would possibly have like its own little you know tooth or something. And I also think that you can take that gap right there and fill that gap up with something, because there's a gap right there. So you could technically fill that gap up. And we do have this spring obviously here. Like I wonder like what is these pockets here? I mean, this obviously has build-up in here. So is this some kind of gas pockets? And we have like water here, obviously. So water's going in here. So I'm wondering now, like, how does the EGR actually, how's the EGR cooler actually works? So we have this here. Basically, I'm just gonna install it without that other piece. So gases go in here. They travel all up in here, and when it opens up, it allows gases, exhaust gases. Let me think about it. This is where the manifold is. So it plugs in. So I'm kind of wondering, I mean, okay, I got it. So basically this plugs into the manifold like this, right? So this here is a hole that lets exhaust gases go inside of your Sprinter, basically. Like, not go inside your Sprinter. Exhaust gases then go, and once this EGR opens up, it allows gases to actually make it inside of the intake manifold, and it takes those exhaust gases and mix it with air, supposedly trying to like reburn all these extra gases to make the air, I guess, cleaner. But I mean, I see that the exhaust gases they make, you know, they get here, right? And obviously they're really hot. But if you think about it, like, besides this little gizmo, I don't see any other way. Like, what is this? This is just, this is So what, like, I'm trying to see, like, I mean, how does some of this gases get here? Like, obviously, through this mechanism. I mean, I cannot see that other side of the tube. I could probably feel that. See if that side is open. Like, what I'm trying to figure out, guys, is there any other way for exhaust gases to make it over there? Like, to this area. They're not supposed to make it here, I don't think, but obviously you could clearly see that this is dirty from, you know, carbon buildup. As you can see, I poured out a lot of carbon back there. There is also this couple seals. Here's a very nice looking seal. Look at that. Shiny metal. Very nice looking seal. I like it. And then we got this seal, which on this side it looks pretty much brand new because it was mounted to that. And then you got this is like water here that was actually going. So then you know you have like the carbon that's here. You could clearly see this is a bunch of carbon right here. It's just dirty from carbon. So obviously this goes like that, and then this lays on it like that right here. Obviously this still has plenty of carbon here, carbon buildup all over the place. But what I'm kind of like wondering is, how does this gases actually make it past the bolts? And you could see they even made it up in here, past these bolts. Okay, so that is that right there. But basically, let's get back to this here. Like, water is obviously flowing in from the radiator, and then it goes like where it needs to go. But I don't see how EGR is really cooling anything down. I mean, the walls over here are pretty thick. Water's flowing. I mean, it's doing its job, I guess. But how is it cooling down the gases? Like, I mean, I don't see how that's even possible. Like the Fords, they have this EGR cooler. They sort of have like a little radiator that's inside of like the pipe, and the walls over there are so thin that they actually get melted. And when they get melted, you got basically water getting into the exhaust, causing like white smoke. Obviously over here the walls are thick, but I don't see how this is gonna cool anything down. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, and even if it doesn't, which I could clearly see it doesn't, because these things get so clogged up with carbon. They're just so dirty. You know? But from the bottom over here, like where this thing opens up, obviously there's some place right at the bottom that you cannot see right there. Exhaust gases actually make it through that little pipe up in here because it's so filled up with smoke, and it obviously goes into every little crack, including making its way through these bolts up to further. So we kind of investigated that a little bit. But I'm kind of curious now to take these bolts apart and see what's going on over there. because this is some kind of motor, and obviously there's like a positive and negative connector there. I would like to test with some kind of wires, but I don't have anything. Let me see here if I could makeshift something. I just want to put a 9-volt battery on it. See if it does anything. Sound, noise, anything. Well, if anything was going to happen, it was going to happen by now. It's probably not a good connection, but still. Okay, let's find a proper tool to pull that out. So this is going to come in handy. So what is this here? Wow, a direct fit without even trying. So let's pull this out. You know what, guys? I mean, I'm kind of fascinated, like, with all of these parts. Okay, this is going up. Does not want to come out because of that thing. Now I wonder if that's actually pressed on or what. Like, because a lot of these parts, when they're made, I mean, they've really engineered them. There's like all of these extra components and stuff. I mean, it costs money to make, obviously. Probably why they charge your arm and a leg for these parts. Okay, it looks like I'm bending it. I think I didn't test it to see if it was bent like that, but it looks bent. I don't know if it's bending or not, but definitely something. So it seems to me that that piece needs to come out for it to be disassembled, but even if I disassemble them, then what? But it appears to me that it needs to be pressed out with that thing for it to come out, and it's just probably pressed in, and I don't have anything to press it out, so that's what it looks like to me. But I'm kind of wondering, like, what's going on with this? It seems like this thing spins. But is it normal for it to spin? And if it's spinning over here. So if it's spinning here, it's probably sending some kind of signal to the computer telling it that things are working. But I guess let's put this together for now. I'm putting it together like I'm gonna use it. But heck, you know, if I could rebuild this this EGR, I would use it, but most likely this test subject is gonna die. As expensive as it might sound. Because I wanna learn, I wanna see what's inside. And I'm wondering how to pull off this lid. I don't see anything to try to like pry it loose, but I think the main cause is over here. So I don't know if it's heat sealed in here or what. I mean, this is kind of like all plasticky. But let's heat it. This is not a way to do it, guys. I mean, I have like an actual heater to do it, but right now I have this nearby, so let's do it. No, it's this is really hot flame, so it's not a good idea. It's actually, yeah. You know, I'm just not gonna take off that portion. It seems like it's so relevant. It's pretty much well, it's not irrelevant at the same time. I mean, I would like to take it off, but it being electronic, I mean, what can you do with it? You know, like I'm kind of curious what's underneath here. Because everything else that I looked at, like, I mean, for this unit, obviously the electronic portion is working, so probably pointless to break this one. If I could fix the mechanical portion, but I want to do it for science. But I'm wondering if I do open it up, like in this. So this is metal. Seems like it's plastic. Like there's couple components. Could this thing be cut out or something? Guys, you know what? I believe I am onto something. This is some kind of rubber here. This does cut. So, anyways, guys, my memory got full and needed to start over. So basically, we left off with me trying to scrape this rubber portion off out of here. This like lots of rubber here. So possibly if I keep scraping, I will finally get to the bottom of it and maybe could pry this thing off. It seems like this thing is made out of plastic to me. You kind of see that there's a portion of it that broke off. It's definitely plastic. And this is some kind of aluminum, you know, casing. So this kind of seems pretty solid on there. But I believe you could get this casing off by keep shaving at it, and possibly there's some components in here that you could like modify or do something with. And I would like to get to it, but not in this video. But I did went a lot, you know, like around it with a scraping tool, and I got a lot of it off. But I tried prying it, and it seems that, you know, I could just break the plastic. That's why, like over here, just kind of cracked off, and you know. But I would like to get to the bottom of it on the inside, because I've heard somebody that said he modified his EGR, just basically some kind of membrane or something gets broken and he just basically fixed it, and that's how it works. But not from what I could see. I mean, I could see that this piece is here, and I could kind of see that this is probably damaged. I will be disassembling another EGR like this in the future, and I will tell you for sure if that's actually the cause of it or not, because I remember what these components look like. So anyways, let's put this thing together. We could clearly see that this goes like that. And then we got a metal component, which I slide on over here like that. You want to make sure that they match, and you could kind of see how by the design that they could actually match up like that. But man, I like this piece of metal. It's so nicely machined. Like I would keep it. Just polish it out or something. And then you want to make sure that this is aligned the right way, so that it could actually go into these grooves here, right there, so that I can actually twist it. And but I have it upside down, so you could clearly see now once I place it down, things are lining up, as you could see. Yeah, they're lining up right, but nothing's holding because I don't have any bolts yet. So it needs to go like that. So now let's put some bolts. I want to make sure that this is where, yep, that's it. That is where they go. And I changed the tool. So where's my other one? There it is. So now we're going to be putting it together. I'm not gonna put it too tight, because eventually what I want to do is I'm gonna fix the CGR, and that's why I don't want to completely destroy this back. I would like to put something in there to where it. But let me see what's going on here. Well, you look at this, guys. It almost seems like it fixed itself. It's actually closing up properly. I mean, it does not go far enough, and now it is. Look. What the heck? I just fixed my EGR. Because look, if you open it up, spring back, look, it actually goes back like it's supposed to. It actually just bit a piece of my glove off. Like before, it was actually going much deeper. but right now it's not. So I guess that remains to be seen. I mean, it is closing. I mean, it's like it's not perfect. Like I have to keep like pulling it back all the way open, and then it closes out perfect. But possibly it could work again. I guess maybe stick this in my Sprinter and find out. Forgot to put this thing back. And it's okay. Gonna put it on like that. And then like that, just like they do it in Germany. If you want somebody to fix German parts, leave it to the Russians. I'll make it work forever. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Possibly this is gonna help you repair your EGR, or at least to help you learn a little bit more about it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna find this channel useful, especially if you got a Sprinter van, because that's what I do. I try to solve these type of issues when it comes to Sprinters. I'm kind of looking at these round things. What are they? Why are they there? Interesting. It seems like it's pressed in metal. If you paint it out, possibly that section will come out. That portion, metal one, causing you to disassemble the actual assembly. So I'm figuring out more ways of taking it apart. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself. God bless you, and see you guys in my next video.
My name is Serge Zimaleta. I'm 37 years old, and yes, I experienced success after buying my first home for cash. Back in 2011, I was broke, but I learned to solve problems on my own. Now I'm helping others to solve their problems. I know what pitfalls to avoid to stay profitable in business. Need motivation to be more successful in your life? Do you have Sprinter expedite or business problems? Then subscribe. Let's find creative solutions to your problems. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my helpful videos.